Welcome to an energetic edition of The Wellness of Being. I'm your host, Brad Poirier. So with our next guest, or actually our first guest, Jeannie, she's going to tell you about energy healing. So we all know energy flows and energy is around us, and we are or are not energy, but Jeannie will explain all that. So welcome, Jeannie, to the show. And I want to say thank you for being on The Wellness of Being. So what I want to do is just jump right in and just kind of get a little bit about your background and to let people know who you are kind of before we get started.
Okay, well, I'm a regular person. I live in the Newmarket area and live and work in the Newmarket area, and I'm married. I have 2 young adult children. And only within the last 8 to 10 years have I been doing the energy healing and
amazing,
yeah.
Amazing. So I mean, it's to say, and you being probably like a lot of our audience here, you know, you have a life, you have a family. So with the energy healing that you're doing, how did it kind of come about? So you went from your regular life to all of a sudden just jumping into energy healing.
Yeah.
So was it overnight? Did it take time? Did you make some choices? Did it call you in your dreams? You know, things like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In the beginning, it took a little time because I was unfamiliar with anything outside of mainstream. And it was 2 things. I had gone to my naturopath, and she introduced me to homeopathy.
Okay.
And I was completely blown away and completely like, this works. I don't even know how it works, but it works. So I knew there was more, but I didn't know what.
Okay.
And then around the same time, so we're talking about 10, almost 15 years ago, I was very depressed. I did not know I was depressed. I did not even think I was worthy to be depressed because I had a very good life.
Of course, yeah.
Married, nice house, cars, you know, all that.
You should be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to get out of bed in the morning. And I didn't know why. So I'd kind of hit bottom, and I knew that there had to be answers. I didn't want to do anything like traditional psychotherapy. I didn't know where to look. And I just kept, you know, hoping and searching that I would find something. And I, you know, read a lot. I dabbled in a lot of different modalities, healings and readings and teachings and classes and a whole bunch of stuff. And everything helped. Everything helped.
Yeah.
And then it was actually taking a class in sacred geometry.
Okay, yes.
That completely changed things for me. Not the class itself.
No, but just the information you were absorbing, I imagine.
Not even that.
No. Oh.
I received an email from this woman I had gone to for Reiki, and she was hosting this class. And it was sitting on my email, and I was going to delete it. And then it was just sitting there, and it was like staring at me. And just
it
like...
was like there. It's like...
and I had to read it.
Yeah.
And I'm reading it over, and I'm like, I don't get it. I don't even know what this is about. And anyways, decided, okay, I need to go to this class. It was staring at me for so long that I had to go. And the teacher teaching the class, even while I was in the class, I'm like, I'm never using this. Like, I don't even know what this is about.
No, and why am I even here?
Exactly, exactly. And then at the end of the class, the teacher introduced herself as a teacher, healer, guide with the Modern Mystery School.
Yes.
And talked about some of the services they do. And I was able to speak with her for a little bit.
Okay.
And she, long story short, we made an appointment with each other. I ended up getting something which is called the life activation.
Okay, yes.
And the rest is kind of history.
Wow. You know, and I guess that's it, because a lot of us, I guess, and I think that's it, as life goes on, we kind of lose our passion, and I think that's what it is. You should be happy with life, you have everything you need, but yet there's just a part that's not fulfilled. But you think, I should be fulfilled. I have kids, I have a husband, I have this, I have this, I have this. There's a whole list of stuff, you know, and I don't think it has anything to do with, you know, not having gratitude for things, but I think you kind of know internally or subconsciously when there's some type of void there.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it's just taking that and what is it? And then when the light, okay, so now you've gone through, you took this class, you sat there, and where's the turning point for you when you said, I need to bring this out to the world?
Yes. Yeah. So I had the life activation, and the next, there's many steps. Everyone's on their own path, but my next step happened to be something called the Empower Thyself initiation.
Okay.
And once that happened, I could see my life, well, it starts with the life activation. I saw my life so much more clear, and I knew that it had worked differently and more effectively than anything else.
Anything you had.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll stop you before you go on. So with like life activation, so let our audience know kind of what exactly is life activation.
Okay, so in essence, it's just a small 1.5-2 hour appointment with me.
Okay.
You don't have to do anything. You just stand there, sit there. The first part of it, I just balance your energy system.
Okay.
So what a lot of people don't realize is for every system we have in our physical body,
yes,
we have one in our energetic body as well. Yeah, there's quite a few.
Amazing.
Yeah, quite a few.
Yeah.
And so we get that done, and then the activation part, the best example I can give is we have an electrical panel and the breakers aren't switched on.
Okay. So would that be almost like a switchboard operator with the different plugs and connecting?
Yep. And so we all have our connection to anything greater than us. We have that connection, but we've not been taught that. We've been not taught that.
Yes.
So this plugs you in or activates those connections, and things become clearer. Your life just gets better. It helps in whatever way that you need, because the energy is coming in to where it's needed for you.
Yes.
So I can't say this will happen to you.
And I guess everybody's journey is different, and your process going through and my process going through are going to be two totally different things. So you can't say, oh, well, after you're done this session, you're going to feel this, this, and this, because I guess it depends on what area in your life is disconnected, right, or needs energetic healing or things like that. And it's just saying, it's switching that light on, because I think a lot of people too, they go through life thinking, this is the way life is, I'm getting older, it's just, and they settle. They just settle there because they think this is the best my life is ever going to be. Even if they think they're happy or happy energetically, they're probably not as happy as once they're plugged in, you know, to the source and things like that. When they can find that they're really like, wow, joy is coming through, happiness is coming through, there's a vitality and a buzz going on they've never felt before because they never thought they could. You know, sort of thing.
There's more, and it's infinite.
It just goes on and on. I mean, energy, obviously energy is endless. You know, I think we come from energy, we go back into energy, everything is made of energy, everything is energetic, and I guess some people too, they believe the earth has energy, rocks have energy, you know, things like that, not just only people, but everything is energetically connected. And that sort of thing. So I see you brought some items here. Can we kind of go through them and kind of, you know, tell the audience and myself kind of what they are and how you would utilize them, you know, in your therapy?
Sure. Okay, so the first one closest to you with
this one here,
that one, is what I use during a life activation.
Oh, awesome.
And so, you know, if you're looking at all the tools, you're wondering like, wow, that's really shamanic, it's really, you know, earthy. And the life activation was originated, you know, over 3,000 years ago during King Solomon's time. So they wanted to bring this out, and so they had to use tools that they could find wherever they were. And so it looks very simple, and yet that is the most powerful tool on this.
As out of all of them, because I imagine the crystal in the end, can you kind of explain what that crystal is?
It's just a quartz crystal.
Yeah, which I think is the quartz crystal, but I think it's one of the purest. I think it's one crystal too that kind of clears all the other crystals. It's one of the, I think, the strongest that kind of connects you the most as well into a higher vibrational realm or angelic realm.
To be honest, I know about crystals, but I'm not an expert. But yes, the quartz crystal is the clearest, cleanest, that kind of energy, for sure.
Oh, awesome. So this one I know. So this is a tuning fork, correct?
Yep.
So with the tuning fork, how would you utilize the tuning fork?
Well, there is a specific healing that I do, and it helps someone who, it helps in many ways, but the healing that I use it for is more suited for someone who has addiction issues.
Yes.
Okay. However, with sound and different tuning forks and music and singing bowls and all that kind of stuff, it's the vibration
Yes.
that is healing.
So with the tuning fork, is there different sizes and different frequencies
Yes.
as well? And where would you utilize this on the body?
In the particular healing that I do, it's around the head.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing. So this one looks awesome, the next one that we have here.
Okay.
So with this one, what is it called, and what would you utilize it for?
Well, that one and the one beside it, which you can look at, you know, a little later.
Yes.
That is something that I use for a modality called etheric reconstruction.
Okay.
So our energy body gets damaged for many reasons. It could be just unhealthy living. It could be, you know, strong emotions that we can't get over.
Yes.
A lot of things affect our energetic body, and those tools are used to
Yes.
bring someone back closer to who they truly are.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Okay, so
And I guess along the way, we've kind of lost ourselves in the journey and things like that because we're so stressed out, I think, in life. We're so used to being pulled in so many directions. We're so used to maybe also living in denial and a lot of, you know, you have a world that you like to believe is real that may not be, and maybe not your true self, because you want to be accepted, you want to be loved, you want to be understood, but for some people, in order to get that validation, they also create a bigger than life personality of who they are just so people will like them.
well,
You know,
and that takes a lot of energy.
Yeah, and you could say, I love that. Well, I love that too. You know, even though you don't, but then you're not really in alignment with who you are.
Yeah.
Rather than saying, I appreciate that you like it, it's really not my kind of thing.
Yeah.
But, you know, like stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I guess people don't really know, you know, as I say, to balance and to be in alignment. I think that's the biggest thing. So who would be the best kind of candidate for you to come?
The best candidate is
Yeah.
someone who is being proactive,
Okay.
someone who knows that they're not just going to settle for regular medical treatments or regular, you know, therapy treatments or something like that. They want something that is going to be effective, going to be efficient, and painless.
Wow. So if somebody were going, would they benefit from the first session, or would they need ongoing sessions, or would it be based per person?
It depends on the person. We always recommend the life activation first. It provides a lot of clarity for the person for them to help make their own decisions of what they need next.
Yes.
But not everyone, you know, sometimes people need a little bit more of a gentler healing to get used
Yes.
to what this is all about. And so while I always recommend the life activation, it is really whatever calls the client.
Yes.
And I can explain the different healings and what they do. And I forget what your question was.
Yeah. So we'll just jump forward a little bit. So who would be the So if somebody were to call you, what's the most common thing that people are looking for? Would it be emotional issues? Would it be body pain? Would it be, you know, just if somebody were to come to you, what's the most popular thing that people come to you for?
I'm going to say not a lot come for physical pain.
Okay.
Although physical pain does get alleviated
Yes,
with this, yeah.
Yeah, and of course it can be a manifestation of a lot of other things, obviously, that you uncovered during the session,
Yeah.
and that sort of thing.
I would say most people come to me because they are wanting a change. They have recognized patterns in their lives that they don't know what to do about. They don't know how to change them. It's like they're stuck in their life and they can't see anything different. But that could also be with like mental patterns or emotional patterns. So someone wanting something different, someone wanting change.
Yes.
And even someone who's just a little interested, like, what's this all about?
Yeah. Well, speaking of interesting, let's go to the end here, and let's like check out this one here. Well, it's got some weight to it. So this is, and how would you utilize it? So I see it almost looks like a mask-like or some type of face.
Okay.
Just go ahead, because I mean, obviously you're the expert. You know what this is. You know what I mean? I'm just a guy thinking, wow, that looks really cool.
Yeah. It is a Buddhist tool, so it looks,
okay.
you know, that may be familiar to some, or the way it's created.
Yes.
And so with the majority of the other tools, they bring in positive light, positive energy, it bring in the good stuff.
Yes.
That one is specific for taking out the bad stuff.
Oh, wow.
So majority of healings are with bringing in the good, because that will push out the bad, but
Yes.
sometimes there's some stuff in there that just won't go away. And that last one there.
So this one almost looks like a stylus pen for the,
Yep.
you know. So what's this one do quickly?
So it it brings it brings parts of you, whether
Okay.
it's mental, emotional, or physical.
Yes.
It is one of our sort of best physical tools to bring yourself back to health. So, for example, you've bumped your knee, or you've done something to your knee, and it is used around your knee specifically. So it brings it back to homeostasis. So
Yes.
to
So
point
back in
to point
alignment and
zero.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we saved the last one, and it looks like, I mean, this one looks incredible. Like, I mean, yeah, I'd love to take this home.
Not, no.
So if you can just kind of explain this, and then we can wrap our segment here.
So it is with the etheric reconstruction that we do, but it's crystal healing, and all crystals have certain properties.
Yes.
And so that one happens to be quartz as well, but I do have other ones in amethyst and rose quartz and all that. And so the energy of that helps, is what the person needs. So for example, if it was rose quartz, that would be the one I would use, that the person needs.
Wow, that's incredible. I want to say thank you so much for coming today. I've learned so much. You brought your amazing tools, and I hope the audience really enjoyed this segment. I want to say thank you for watching, and we'll be right back after the break.
When it comes to fantasy baseball, smart decisions make winners. Join me, Gabriel Morency, on Game Time Decision as I break down the best bets, props, and fantasy plays from across the sports world. Watch Game Time Decisions live weekdays on the Fantasy Sports Network, the first and only channel for expert fantasy sports advice and analysis 24/7. Get Fantasy Sports Network with MLB Extra Innings as part of the Rogers Super Sports Pack. Order through your remote on channel 431.
I am 31 years old. I am on the double lung transplant list. I hear it all the time. You don't look sick. It's one thing to deal with the physical symptoms of PH, but because I don't look sick, I also have to deal with that.
Pulmonary hypertension is a rare, life-threatening lung disease. There is no cure, but treatments are available. Talk to your doctor about PH if you're experiencing these unexplained symptoms. It could save your life.
The following program is brought to you by Rogers Anyplace TV. Enjoy exclusive content for free. Visit RogersAnyplaceTV.com.
Welcome back to The Wellness of Being. I'm your host, Brad Poirier. What if you have the ability to see into the future? Is that a sign? So with our next guest, Carmen, he's going to explain. Welcome, Carmen, to the show. Welcome to The Wellness of Being. I'm so glad to have you here. So we're going to jump right in and kind of let the audience know a little bit about your background first before we talk about your wonderful ability, I guess.
Sure. So my background in astrology, back around a little over 10 years ago, I was hanging out with some friends, and I was always interested in astrology. I was always fascinated by the stuff I'd read in newspapers, and I was hanging out with some friends, and they showed me an astrology chart based on my exact birth time, which kind of looks, something like this. This isn't mine, but this is what an astrology chart looks like.
Okay, sure, yeah.
And when I saw it for the first time, I was like, wow, I didn't know that, because this is based on your exact birth time.
Okay, yes.
Right, and I didn't know you can get so specific to the time, right? Because everyone, all I knew about, I'm a Taurus, so everyone born from April 20th to May 20th is a Taurus, so that's all I knew, and I didn't know it can get this specific. So when I first found out about it, I became obsessed with it, pretty much, right? And I just started doing my own research, started coming across, reading books, coming across other astrologers, and I've just been on that journey ever since. And what I found is astrology has helped me to find my place in the world, what I'm supposed to be doing, what my strengths are, what my weaknesses are. It's basically your blueprint, right? So astrology has helped me find my place, and now I'm doing the same thing with astrology, helping other people find their place in the world.
So with an astrology chart, what can it actually tell you?
An astrology chart shows you your potentials. It shows you your strengths, weaknesses, characteristics. It shows, like, for example, you might find that in certain areas of life, you might not have that much success, but in other areas you have more success, because your chart shows, this is where there's more openings for you, right? Where things will work better for you. And then other areas of life will bring more challenges. And sometimes challenges can be good, right? And, and you can also do like a forecast, right? You can see, okay, for the next year or 8 months, Saturn might be affecting you. And for example, right? And then that can be a time where, more responsibilities, more, need to be more disciplined, you need to bring structure into your life, for example, right? And so, and I do believe we have some free will as well, but our free will is always working with the astrology. It's always co-creating with the astrological conditions in your birth chart and what's happening at any given time, right?
So with the chart as well, can it also influence or maybe tell you about some of the relationships in your life?
It can. It could tell you what kind of relationships work best for you. It can, and then you could even look at, like, let's say you're in a relationship with someone or you like someone. You can look at their chart with your and see how it connects with yours.
I see.
You can see what the connections, if it's good. What the thing is, if you're in love with someone, you follow your heart, right?
Yes.
But the astrology will make you understand it better. It's like it's kind of like the instruction manual.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would it kind of tell you that maybe you're not best suited, or the passion that you feel may fizzle out over time?
Yeah, it could fizzle out, or maybe there's some kind of, you might feel drawn, like drawn to somebody, for example. But it could mean, like, this is your life partner, or it could mean maybe you just have to deal with something for the next year, some karmic. Like maybe there could be some karmic, maybe some life lesson
that you have to learn from that person coming into your life.
Yeah, vice versa too, right?
And do you find people get that, though, that a lot of stuff, when they have to learn that life lesson, if they didn't learn it the first time, it kind of repeats with either a same situation, or you get to view that same situation from a different perspective until you kind of learn that lesson.
Yeah, I can. I can. There's so many variables, right? But definitely, for sure.
Of course.
Yeah.
So with the charts as well, so if somebody was looking for maybe a direction in their life, or maybe something they need to correct in their life, would that come out through the chart?
Yeah. The thing is when you look at the chart, the astrologer, such as myself, will see, what are the main things, what are the main themes at that time, what kind of healing do you need to work on, or what do you need to develop. And so, we do see that. We do see that, and sometimes, astrology is its own language, it's its own lens.
Yes.
So we see it through this lens, right? And then when you explain it to the client or whatever, you know, you're giving them a different perspective on
Yes.
what they're experiencing through a different lens, right?
Well, of course, and I think most people, like you said before, people, you know, they find their sign, they try to learn all about their sign. You know, what are my characteristics? What are my good points? What are my negative points? Because we have a balance of both. And then it's also, who am I compatible with?
Exactly,
I'm this sign, so I'm compatible with this person, this person, this person.
Yeah.
But I think there's also, there must be variables to that
so
as
many
well.
variables. Like you can, like, let's say for example, you know, I know you're an Aquarian, right?
Yes.
And so Aquarius is the air sign. Generally, an air sign more compatible with other air signs and fire signs, right? So
Yes.
Libra, Gemini, Aries, Sagittarius, and Leo, which is your opposite sign.
Yes.
And they say the other ones are not good, but that's not the case because, you know, you can have a connection between your sun and the person's moon, or their sun and your moon,
Yes.
or their Venus and Mars, or there's other connections too. So the sun sign is good to follow, but
Yes.
you have to, there's other factors too, right? So
because I imagine with that as well, because it may not be a romantic relationship, but it could also be a good maybe business relationship
totally.
or a good friendship.
Yeah.
If you know how to balance off each other's qualities and what to do, kind of not to rock the boat and things like that, it could be very viable. And you know, I mean, maybe a good strong relationship doesn't say just because this sign and this sign don't match, it doesn't mean you should avoid that whole group of people. You know, and say, what sign are you? Okay, stay clear.
No,
right?
but you're right.
Always
you're right. The thing is the more evolved you are, the more conscious you are, then you understand, okay, this is the way this person is, this is the way that person is. But what I find is like, you know, I used to live in a small town, and I used to live in a town where a lot of people were into astrology, a lot of people were into consciousness, and everyone was open. And I used to know everyone's sign in the town. So I would see in the town, you know, there'd be 3 air signs together, 5 fire signs with 1 air sign, you know what I mean? And so you would see like the compatible elements batch up together. Not 100%, but like, you know, so I wouldn't say, you know, there is some truth to it, but I wouldn't say like, you know, I'll tell you a funny story. I used to like, for some reason, Aquarian girls used to always like me, right?
Yes.
And I'm like, I don't know, she's an Aquarian. I don't know if I want to, I used to just write them off right away.
So is it normally Aquarian and with your sign as well, they're not really a compatible match?
No, well, there can be compatibility. It depends on the whole chart.
I see.
But I was just, this is like in the beginning when I was just studying astrology.
Yes.
And I was just being like, you know, I wasn't looking at it from a full... You know,
and just more general, probably more isolated, you know, here's your general, because I think a lot of people too think that astrology is only about your horoscope that you kind of read in the paper.
It's a lot more than that. It's, I mean, there's this, we talked about this is the blueprint, right? But there's you can use astrology for so many things. You can use astrology, you can pick a good time to plant your tomatoes. You can pick astrology, you can use astrology to pick a good time to launch a business, to launch anything. You can pick a good time to, or let's say for example, you know, like just you want to plan out like your for the next year, your business. You'll be like, okay, this is a good time to do a trade show. This is a good time to, you know, start this, launch this product or whatever.
That's right. Yeah, because obviously it sounds like it's so much more than this is my sign, these are my characteristics. You can use it for so much more.
So much.
So if somebody were to come to you, then what's the typical session? So once they contact you, kind of what happens from there?
From there, so they contact me, and then they would need to give me their birth details, the birth date, their time, as accurate as possible, and the location of where they were born, and then from there, then I'll prepare before the reading, and then we do the reading over the phone, Skype, sometimes in person if they're local, and then we go from there. I tell them what I see, and then they might give me some feedback too, based on what I'm telling them, and then we go from there. It's almost like a life coaching, but you know. It's kind of like that. Yeah. So how important is the birth date? So say, I mean, I maybe know the day, maybe I don't know, and I don't really have like all the information, or maybe the time is wrong. Yeah, usually people just don't know the time. Usually they know the day, right? So if they don't know the time, then what's going to happen is, if they don't know the birth time, then what's going to happen is, there's going to be certain layers of information missing, but we'll still know the characteristics. We'll still know a lot of the characteristics, but we won't know you know, like very specific stuff about like career and stuff like that.
Okay.
We might not know, but we'll know, okay, this person has like, you know, I'm a Taurus, I'll have those Taurus characteristics,
course, yeah.
but you won't see that you might not see I'm an astrologer in my chart.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I guess too, the more precise you can be, the more accurate your chart's going to be, obviously. Because
Exactly,
if you know
yeah.
it was in the afternoon, it's 4:17, it's
Yeah.
on this date,
Yeah.
the more you have to work with, obviously, the
Yeah.
more it is to kind of figure it out. Because I imagine learning this must take some time.
It takes lifetimes.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow. So
yeah.
you're still learning, you're still growing, you're still...
It's never ending.
No.
The thing is with
Yeah.
astrology is technology is always advancing, so we can do so much more now with astrology. Also, we're always discovering new planets, new asteroids, we're always discovering things. So every time we discover a new planet or something, it's a reflection of our own shift in consciousness, for example, right? And so it's especially nowadays, it's evolving so much. So there's always more to learn, and even if it's not evolving, it's such a rich subject, and you can't learn everything, you can't use everything.
No,
you got to
of course
pick.
not.
You know, you got to pick what kind of. There's different techniques, and every astrologer will find what works for them.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So would most people come to you for a general reading, or would they come to you more for something specific and say, I want to know the best time to launch a project?
Both.
Oh, okay.
Both. Majority of what I do is readings, personal readings, but because that's what most people are familiar with.
Yes.
But I am starting to do more business stuff as well, because more people are slowly, like I'm educating them, and
Yeah.
I have to tell them about that, right? 'Cause
Of
most
course,
people
and I
don't
think more people would kind of utilize it as a tool that you say, okay, this is a great thing, or even just say going into a relationship, you know what I mean? Before you walk down the aisle,
Yeah.
maybe it's a good time to
that's
compare your charts.
That's what they do in India.
Oh, really?
In India,
Wow.
it's huge, and in some parts of India, I'm not saying I support this, but
No.
in India, they still do arranged marriages, right?
Yes.
So they go to the astrologer.
And that's how they do it, and kind of say, this is aligned,
I
you're
hope
going to have a
that's what
long,
they
happy...
Yeah,
oh, so you don't
hopefully.
know.
No, I think some do and
Okay.
some don't.
Okay, so they'll say,
I'm sure some people
we have a
use
daughter, you have a
astrologers.
son, let's connect
Yeah.
them, and they'll learn to love each other.
If you're going to do an arranged marriage, I would hope you're seeing an astrologer. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Because that's all you have. You know.
Well,
so
and to make it, and two, is astrology bigger in some cultures than others?
yeah, in India, it's like part of their culture. It's
Okay, it's
even
a norm. It's a norm
in
thing
India.
for them.
Yeah, what happened was there's an article. There's a few articles a few years ago. This group in India tried to. They went to the Supreme Court of India
Yes.
and said they were trying, because a lot of astrologers, there's good astrologers and there's fake astrologers, right? And
Yes.
and so anyways, these were like scientific. I think there was like a medical scientific group.
Okay,
And they
yes.
were some astrologers, they use it for medicine.
Oh, okay,
Use it for
yes.
health and healing and medicine, right? So they went to the Supreme Court and they were trying to pass something. They're trying to do something so that astrologers wouldn't be able to practice medicine.
I see.
Because they're saying it's pseudoscience or whatever. And then what happened was the Supreme Court of India struck it down, and they said
Oh, wow.
astrology's been used for thousands of years. It's a valid science. So the Supreme
Yes.
Court of India and the government approves it's a valid science in India.
Yeah, because especially
right?
too, if it's something in their culture that's probably been around for a long, long time.
So long, yeah.
It's pretty much integrated, and it's something that's norm for
Totally.
them. It's not something new that somebody's trying to bring in to push to say,
No,
hey,
it's-
we have this new technology, this new method, it really works without any documentation, without any stuff like that, because I think a lot of people really don't understand
Yeah.
so much what astrology is, because we have such, I think, a generalized kind of interpretation of what it is. It's not really about just your sign or just what you are and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's probably like way more to it, as you say, and you're
Yeah.
constantly learning. You're constantly because from what I gather, you were kind of that the astrology drew you. It wasn't something you were seeking out, or it kind of like there was something inside you that said, I have to go in this direction.
Yeah, well, I was, like I said, I was always drawn to it. I even was before I got into astrology, I was into numerology as well.
Okay, yes.
I was studying that more so, but like I said, once I saw the chart, once I found out you can do it based on the birth time.
Yes.
I was just, it just sucked me right in. Like it was already inside of me. There was
Yes.
something ready for me, something inside of me waiting to be unleashed.
Yeah.
Right.
So how do you find the difference between numerology as compared to astrology? As far as the readings and the results.
Yeah, the numerology is good. But it's in comparison to astrology, it's very limited.
Okay,
it's
so
good.
you find it deeper.
I mean, you can use numerology for lots of things. Like you can, when you get your receipt at a store, you can add the numbers.
Okay, and
you can. There's numerology
it.
Everywhere, right? It's a language in a different, you know. But astrology, like if you're going to do someone's personal numerology and someone's personal astrology, you can combine it. Totally.
Of course, and give you maybe more layers or more insight or things like that. Because I think with numerology as well, you can still take your birth date, you can take your name, you can add all the numbers, break it down, and then look at what number, if it's a double number, things like that, you know, if it has more impact.
And you can add up the numbers for the name. So the thing is but the only thing is between numerology and astrology is that astrology is way more rich.
Okay.
You know, like numerology, when you do the numerology for a person, you add up their birthday, you add up, then there's a number for their month, their day, then there's a number for their vowels, their consonants, their name, right? But there's only so much you can do, right? With astrology, there's, you know, this is already way more rich than numerology, but this is still a basic astrology chart. This isn't like, you know, astrology charts can get way more rich than this.
Okay,
you know, you can look at, this is just planets. You can look at asteroids. You can look at stars. You know, so it's, and what I'm saying is that we're always discovering new planets, new asteroids, so there's all these things are always being integrated. Astrology is always evolving. That's what I'm saying.
So could someone overuse astrology?
Oh, yeah,
They're saying, I want to know, now I want to know more, now I want to know more, now I want to more. So eventually, does it get so overused that the answers eventually, you know, because when people say, you know, why, or more, I want more in-depth, but if they're not willing to take, I guess, what the chart is telling them and apply it, you know what I mean? Because maybe it doesn't give me the answers I want, so I say, Carmen, do it again.
Yeah.
I want more. I want to know more about this and things like that. So obviously, what would happen if you did it too many times? Or can you do it too many times?
Well, I mean...
Or would you just get the same answers?
It depends what you, like...
What you're asking?
When you first asked that question, when I think of using astrology too many times, I think of me.
Yes.
Like, every time I post something online or I do this
like,
or that, I'm like, is it a good chart? Is it a good time? You know, like, to me that's overdoing astrology. But when a client wants to know every little thing about their chart, I mean, I've never had that problem, to be honest with you. I find that because every time someone's going to do a reading, it's going to cost money, right? And so I find that, you know, if there is something they have specific they want to ask about, then that's what they need to know at that. Like if someone comes to me now and they come to me in 6 months, it's going to be a different period in 6 months. They're going to have different questions. They're going to have different things going on in their life. They're going to have,
of course,
you know, so whatever's relevant for that time period is what I'm going to talk about.
Of course. Well, thank you for your time. It's been amazing. It's gone so fast. I want to thank you for enlightening us, and I want to say stay tuned. So our next guest is going to go the distance. So come right back after the break, and you'll see why.
On the Midhurst studio tour, it's just such a great way to, you know, meet the people in your area. In Simcoe County, there's not a street or a stream or a park that you cannot find inspiration. And it's nice to use stuff that's found that you can incorporate into your repertoire. And if I can't carve it, then we do a CAD design through the computer, and then we will cast it and then add the stones. That's what I love. I love doing really different things.
What kind of show do you want to see on Rogers TV? What interests you? Log on to rogerstv.com, fill out a show proposal, and tell us about your segment idea. We want to know what you want to see. Rogers TV, only on Rogers.
Welcome back to The Wellness of Being. So we left our last guest, Carmen, who's the astrologer. Now we have, our next guest, who's going to go the distance. And what I'm talking about is distance healing. So I want to say welcome, Dagmar, to the show.
Thank you.
So we're going to jump right in, and we're going to get a little bit of history about you first.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can kind of just say, where about you came from, and just a little bit about your background.
Well, my background is alternative healing. I've practiced healing for a number of years, but more recently I tapped into my intuitive abilities, and that's something that's always been there since my childhood, but I'd kind of buried it away. So now what I do in my practice is I combine actually the intuitive gifts that I brought with me as a child with the training that I've had in alternative healing, and I blend those together in a beautiful program for my clients.
That's awesome. So I see you brought a book here, 7 Simple Steps to Health and Wellness. So you can hold that up for our audience to see. But it says Mrs. Green Jeans plant seeds. So what's all that about?
Well, I chose the name Mrs. Green Jeans because I like everything that has to do with green living, and I like to wear jeans. I'm a very casual kind of gal. And the plant seeds is what I do with my clients. I plant seeds metaphorically, so I help them to lead healthier and happier lives.
Wow, that's amazing. So it says 7 simple steps. So can you kind of go, like just a general overview of the book, kind of what are the 7 simple steps? You don't have to go into depth, but just enough that we get a general overview.
Well, you'll see right here on the cover, there are the 7 simple steps. So starting with pure water, love and laughter, movement and exercise, detoxification, whole foods, rest and sleep. So when you do all of these 7 simple steps, you really have a healthy and happy life.
That's amazing. So if we can jump in a little bit and just kind of, we can go through all or just even take a couple and maybe say water, for instance, because what kind of bearing does that have on health and happiness?
Well, it's not just the quantity of water, but it's also the quality of water.
I see.
So often people will hear, well, you need to have 8 glasses of water a day. First of all, that's a myth. Because it depends on your body size.
Yes.
A 2-year-old child and a 250-pound man
are not
going to need the same amount of water. So it really depends on your body size. And then again, the quality of water. So again, when people hear how much water, they'll go off and they'll buy the plastic bottles of water in the store, not realizing that if these bottles have been sitting in the sun, the toxins from the plastic can go into the water, and you're not doing your body any good by doing that.
Of course, and not a lot of people know about BPA free and things like that, because obviously the best container, I would imagine, would be a glass container. And things like that. And also too, if you're getting 8 glasses of brown tap water, that may not be necessarily so good for you.
That's true. That's true.
So in your opinion, what is the best type of water to drink?
Definitely alkaline water. So the best thing is to do your own research. I find a lot of people sort of give away their power to gurus, and they hear, do this, do that. And I think the best advice is do your own research and find what really resonates with you, because we all have these intuitive gifts. And that is something that I do with my clients, is awaken them to their intuitive gifts. So they don't have to listen to me, they don't have to listen to all the gurus on television or in the books, but they can really tap in and they can sense, wow, this water does taste better and my body does feel differently when I drink this type of water.
So do you feel people have, I don't know, I think it's hard like to read your own body, or you haven't listened to your own body for so long, you don't recognize when it's talking to you?
That's true. That's true, and that's why I start off my program helping people to first see themselves through my intuitive gifts. So I tune into them, I read their chakras, which are the energy centers of the body. And in doing this reading, they get all these insights as to who they are, why they're on this planet. But again, rather than giving away the power to me and thinking I'm now the guru who will tell them, in the next session, I help them to open up and awaken to their own intuitive abilities. So it's really a lot of fun. And I have to say that's probably the most rewarding part of my job, is when I see these people get up off the table and go, wow, I saw this, or I heard this, or I felt this, and I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and for the audience that don't know what a chakra is, can you kind of go through the different chakras and kind of briefly say what each one, where it's located, number one, and then kind of what it does?
Okay. Well, the chakra system, first of all, is outside of our body, in our energy body. So a lot of people have heard of the aura.
Yes.
The chakras exist within the aura, and when they're spinning in the right direction, which is clockwise, and when they're healthy, they really supply the energy that our body needs from the etheric level to the physical level. And they affect all the different organs. So we have the root chakra, which is located at the base of our spine. Then we have the sacral chakra, which is located in the lower abdomen.
So with each chakra, does it also have a color that corresponds as well?
Yes, so the root chakra is red, the sacral chakra is orange, the solar plexus is right here just below your rib cage in this, over the sternum. This is yellow.
Okay, and what's that related to?
Well, there's different teachings. In the readings that I do for my clients, your solar plexus is absolutely the core of who you are.
I see.
And this is very much related to your life purpose.
Okay, yes.
So the readings that I do, we tap into the front solar plexus and the back solar plexus, so you see what's currently going on in your life and also how you're influenced from things from the past.
So do you think when you're doing clients, like this could be a chakra, the solar plexus, would be maybe one of the ones that's most commonly blocked?
It's interesting that you asked that, because again, there are different schools of thought. I don't necessarily believe that a chakra is totally blocked.
Oh, I see.
I think it can be working less than optimal, or it can be spinning in the opposite direction.
Yes.
But to be totally blocked, that would effectively mean that the organs related to that chakra would not be functioning. And then we wouldn't be living.
Yes, of course.
So the chakras are working at some form or another, some pace or another, but may not be working optimally. And through healing work, they can all start to work optimally. But to get back to the chakras, so the next one up is the heart chakra, which is green. Then we have the throat chakra, which is blue.
Yes.
We have the third eye, and in my readings, I actually split this into two minor chakras. So it's actually the ajna and then the forehead. But in typical teachings, we just talk about the third eye. So that is purple, and then the crown chakra, which is our connection to the divine, is violet.
I see.
So it's really the 7 colors of the rainbow.
Yeah, I just want to go back a little bit. So basically the people with the heart chakra, it's green, but what does the kind of heart chakra govern?
The heart chakra governs our relationships of the heart. So typically people will think, well, that has to do with my soulmate or my husband, my spouse.
Yes.
But relationships of the heart can be with your parents, they can be with your children. If you have a pet that you absolutely love like a child.
Yes.
If you have a really good friend that you think of as a sister or a brother.
Yes.
So any of those really, really intense relationships of the heart are governed through the heart chakra.
Could that even be a relationship with yourself?
Oh, absolutely. That's the first relationship that we have is to ourselves.
That you should have, but I think it's the one that's left to the end, right? Because a lot of people are so giving of their time and they're pulled in many different directions. They're a caregiver, but a lot of times too, they don't connect with that, say, the heart chakra, the self-love, the self-forgiveness, the things like that, which probably brings us up to the next chakra, you know, which I understand is probably communication, because it's located right here. And I think with communication, that's more about being vocal about your emotions or setting your boundaries or things like that. So what's your thoughts on the throat chakra?
Well, the throat chakra, many people think this has to do just with our expression because it is our center of expression.
Yes.
But it actually has to do with both forms of communication. So it's also the hearing. The ears are connected to the throat chakra as well.
Yes.
So it's not only how you express yourself to others and that you're clearly heard and understood, but you reciprocating and clearly listening and hearing what others have to say.
Yes, yes.
And, you know, to get back to the heart chakra, what you were saying, it's so true, and I'm so glad that you raised this about self-love. That's something that our society does not honor enough of. And again, that's something that I really, really encourage my clients to do, is to take that time for yourself, for the self-love, because once you totally honor who you are and the essence of your being, and you fully step into that, you can be fully present for everyone else.
And being in the moment, I think in that too, because with the thing with self-love, do you think it can kind of trickle down because their parents didn't feel enough love, they don't feel that for themselves, so they only give what they know to their kids, right? And same with their parents, their parents, but I think for us as individuals, I think it's tough. You don't know what you're missing if you don't know it's missing. You know, you don't know what you don't know. And I guess once you learn, you can make conscious choices to say, yes, I'm going to change this. I'm going to change the pattern. I'm going to repurpose my life and say, yes, I'm going to take some time for me. I'm going to be involved in more gratitude. I'm going to be more involved in self-love, self-care, you know, things like that. So basically you change your habits, so then you become, I mean, I don't know if it's like a reprogramming, because I think in life we have to deprogram a lot of our conditioning, a lot of our things that happen, because for a lot of us, I think our parents mean very well, but they only give what they know.
That's true.
You know, and things like that. But in now relation to kind of planting seeds, I guess we should go up a little bit more first, because a lot of people, and I guess a lot of people have a lot of questions with the third eye. Where is it? What does it do? And, you know, should I access it?
Well, as I mentioned to you, I read the third eye as two separate chakras. So the Ajna chakra has to do with your center of higher will.
Okay.
This is your ability to set goals and actually achieve them. And then the forehead chakra is more of the connection to your higher intuition.
Okay.
So it's very interesting to see when it's lumped together, it gets a bit muddled. But when you separate those two into the minor chakras that they are, you can get a much clearer picture of what's going on. And as I say, I love to see the progress that my clients make when we start at the beginning, where many don't even know about the chakras, have never done this type of work before.
Of course, yeah.
And I always welcome people with absolutely no judgment, because not too long ago I was in that position. I didn't know what a chakra was. I didn't know anything about alternative healing.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know, and I guess too when you're out of alignment, they don't really know the difference when it's fully flowing.
That's
because
true.
they haven't felt it.
That's true.
You know, and when everything's spinning clockwise in the right direction and things like that. So we're going to finalize with the top one here. So what's the top one do? What's the purpose of the top one?
The crown chakra is your connection to the divine. And if you don't have a solid connection to the divine, you're really not very connected in life. And what I do is I reconnect people to their life purpose. So we sometimes think our life purpose is our career.
Yes.
But our life purpose can be something very simple as being a good mother, being a good friend, just having the right words at the right time sort of flow through you, where you don't even know where they're coming from, but tapping into that intuition. And we all have these gifts. And I really, really encourage people to just awaken to their own gifts, to their own abilities, not to give up their power to others, but to reconnect to their own power, bring it in, honor it, and then be there for others from a place of love.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people, I think in order to be in life, they think they have to be a great success, make lots of money, always be the hero. But you're fine just being an ordinary person doing extraordinary things.
Absolutely.
And you never know what that extraordinary thing could be. It could be smiling at that person who is thinking of suicide, but now you smiled at them, may have given them some hope, and now they're not going to jump off that bridge.
That's right.
Like, you never know what people are dealing with, and you think, well, I'm messed up, nobody else is, you know, but obviously, and, you know, everybody's thinking probably the same thing. They're more concerned about themselves than they really are, you know, kind of about you sort of thing. So I want to jump into something now and just say, go the distance, but you're not only a distance healer, but you're, by the green, a vegan distance healer.
Yes.
So tell me how that came about.
Well, that came about around 3.5 years ago. I had been vegetarian for a number of years, and I was still sticking my head in the sand and not wanting to look at the whole picture of where the food that was on my plate was coming from. And as I became more and more involved in the healing, I first became vegetarian when I became a healer, because I wanted to have a clear energy body. And then it only made sense to me to really take that extra step and honor not only myself, but all living beings, because we're all interconnected, we're all one. And to no longer consume animal products of any type, nor do I use animal products such as shoes or feather pillows or down jackets, any of those types of things. And it's been very, very eye-opening for me, because you know, not to blow my own horn, but I always thought, oh, I'm a healer. This is really cool. I can do this. But I can honestly say, since becoming vegan, my energy body has become so much clearer that the healings are now incredible. Where I have clients saying that they feel like they're floating off of the table. And I have clients across North America and in Europe where I've worked with them, and they can feel the presence in the room with them. They feel that I'm stroking their cheek or holding their hand, and, you know, amazing things are happening. So I'm very, very grateful that my eyes were open to the vegan lifestyle, and I I encourage others to do it, and I know that, again, there's no judgment. When
No.
you're ready, when you're willing, when you're open, the time will come.
Yes, because I know you have a funny little interesting story. If you'd like to share that with our audience.
Sorry, which story is that?
So the story, so you were doing a session and you were in your room and the person that heard something.
Oh, yes, yes. That's one of the fun ones. Yes, I had a client who was on the table, and all of my sessions are done in silence.
Okay.
So there's no music and there's no scented candles. There's no...
nothing. No extra stimulus.
Yes, it's very neutral. So she was on the table, and after we finished, I just lightly tapped her on the shoulder. And I asked her, how was the experience for you? And she said, well, it was really cool, but your shoes tapping on the floor really annoyed me. Like, I could hear your high heels clicking on the wooden floor. And I said, well, that's interesting, because if you look down, you'll see I'm barefoot and it's a carpet.
Wow, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Like, how could you hear heels on a wood floor from, barefoot or even in socks on carpet?
Yes.
I don't think it makes that much noise unless you're doing this, and I assume that you're not, doing
quiet.
like that kind of stuff. So for you, was it a difficult transition from being vegetarian to being vegan?
Not at all, not at all. Once I opened up my heart to it, it was just so easy. And I know some people say it's a bit of a struggle, but I find this day and age, we have so many amazing products.
Yes.
And if you're willing to experiment in the kitchen and just try opening up a can of chickpeas and see what you can make with it,
of course,
you can make the most amazing, delicious food.
And it's amazing, because myself, I eat as healthy as possible, but it's amazing what you can do with lentils. It's amazing what you can do with chickpeas. I mean, if you love hummus, and you can do any kind of hummus. You can do beet hummus.
Yes.
You can do a sweet potato hummus. You can do like any combination, and it's all incredible. And you get that variety where a lot of people, I think, they think being vegan is probably so restrictive, but I think it opens up a whole new world to fruits and vegetables you never imagined or never knew existed, right? And that sort of thing. I think it's just incredible. So when you're connecting and doing a session with someone, where do you connect to?
It depends on their belief system.
Okay.
So I never pre-program my clients and telling them that it's a certain path that they're going to take, because everyone's path is different. So I have religious clients who believe they're connecting to God.
Yes.
I have spiritual clients who believe they're connecting to the universal consciousness. I have scientific clients who believe they're connecting to the electromagnetic grid. So depending on their belief system, whatever it is,
Yes.
because it's all one.
It's amazing. There's so much. I mean, our time today has gone so fast.
Yeah.
I know, I can't believe it. And there's great information. I mean, I have an amazing book, The 7 Simple Steps to Health and Wellness. I want to say thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time. So enjoy life to the fullest.